So could you lift up the fork a little bit higher? Cool, there you go.
I feel stupid.
Every one of them is inspired by the puddings of our youth. Before you start talking about that sock, I just feel like I have to say this is not a pink gin.
No, it's not pink gin. 2 lovely big lemons. If your lemons are on the small side, I would suggest that you use 3.
Shut the front door, go to the foot of our stairs, amazing.
But it took me all day.
It couldn't get better than a visit from the Bakery Bears. There's no point carrying on. Dan and Kay have been.
That is a bit worrying, isn't it?
We shall shut our doors.
It's all right, don't panic. It's okay if the shell goes in, you can just scoop it back out. It's the yolk, we don't want it. Isn't it?
And in this particular... In this particular...
Now, my lemons are organic, and that's why they look a bit kind of knobbly.
I know I went through an addiction to Coke. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola.
Blob it. That sounds funny. Just...
Welcome, everybody, to episode 146.
146?
Do you remember when you were 46?
Yes.
Oh, it was lovely, wasn't it?
It's not that long ago. Yeah. I wish I still was 40. I nearly said 146 then. I wish I was 146.
I don't.
No, I don't either. No, I do remember being 46.
Although I have those heady heights to look forward to. 46. I'm sorry.
Do you know?
I didn't mean...
I don't know that a day passes...
That's simply not true.
...without some dig at me for being older than him.
It's just not true. Look, everybody knows. We're walking down the street and I happen to run into you and I say, who do you think's younger? Everyone always goes...
Do they?
I had a particularly hard paper round. Do you know what? I never had a paper round.
You never had a paper round?
And I always wanted one.
I used to work in a paper shop.
Amazing.
I really enjoyed it. I used to love it. People coming in, paying the papers and buying sweets and...
Yeah.
I did used to pinch a few sweets, it's got to be said, because she did
half a pound of mix-up, please.
No, she did used to have one of those trays on the counter with all the little sweets in.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Now, what a show we have in store. And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes, and don't we always strive for this as knitters, you're looking for that sort of perfect combination of projects which are all that you love.
Yes.
The yarn's great.
Yeah.
And everything is just perfect.
Yeah.
Because how awful, isn't it, when that isn't the case?
Yeah, I think you kind of know, don't you, when a yarn's not right for a project. I do. Right?
And then it's all through the project it's not right. It never becomes right.
Sometimes you have to just persevere, don't you? Because it might be that you're not making it for yourself.
Yeah.
And it might suit the person that you're making it.
Or the other problem that I quite often have is the balance of my projects is wrong.
Right.
So, and I know that might sound stupid, but I have to have like a small project and a medium project and a big project.
Right.
And if I don't have, if the balance isn't quite right between all those things, then it never feels like...
I don't really feel like that.
But you sometimes are very unhappy with your projects.
Yeah, quite often I get into like a thing where I just need to finish tons of things. And I think we all do that, don't we? Because I do sometimes get a bit overwhelmed with how many things I've got on the go.
I've never had that problem.
And I have. And I do then sort of, buckle down and finish a load of stuff, and then you feel better, but then inevitably you just cast on a load more stuff, don't you?
So why did I bring this whole thing up? Well, I'll tell you right now why. Because all the projects that we're showing you today, I think I'm right when I say this, and do correct me if I'm wrong, are perfect.
Yes.
Yes. I think you're in a very good space at the moment with your projects.
Yeah.
And I know I am. My goodness. One of the projects I'm showing you today, it's literally the fastest I have ever knit a sock.
Oh, yeah. And do you know,
Not
it's
a pair
lovely.
of socks.
A sock. But look, it's a finished thing, isn't it?
But I'm not cheating here.
No, I couldn't believe it that you'd finished it. I was really shocked.
I also couldn't believe it.
Absolutely beautiful.
And wonder of wonder, miracle of miracles, can you name the musical? It is a song in a musical, and the musical is with Toppy.
What's the song?
Wonder of wonder, miracle of miracles.
Well, if it's Topol, it must be Fiddler on the Roof.
Correct. Oh, look at her go.
I've never seen it, but
Plugged
I know that it's Topol. I probably have seen it years and years and years ago when I was young, but I don't really remember.
I played drums for Fiddler on the
I
Roof.
thought you were going to say you played topple.
I did not.
That
But
would be a sight to behold.
I played drums for Fiddler on the Roof, and I did not enjoy it.
Did you not?
I did not.
Right.
I remember at the time I couldn't drive. I'm there, and they did. For anyone who knows the musical, it's not the cheeriest of musicals. I love the film.
Is
and
there
I loved
actually
to
a
go.
Fiddler on a Roof?
Yes.
Oh, there is.
Yes,
right.
there is.
Okay.
There is. And now I love the musical and I love the film, but the drum part is truly awful.
Isn't it?
And in this particular.
Particular?
In this particular production, it's quite tricky to say, they decided to do an encore of a song called Anatevka. And
Is it Russian, this musical?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
You see, I know nothing about it.
You're learning so much.
I'm learning.
At least so much. Anyway, this show had run on so long, it had dragged so long, that I'm looking at my watch as we're doing the encore of Anatevka, and I'm saying to myself, as it ticked past 10:45 p.m. that my bus home had just left.
Oh, no.
But look, amazing projects, but not just amazing projects to show you. Oh no, because the Pudding Club is back.
Yes.
You could sense it, couldn't you? You could smell it.
Could you?
All over the world, they went, ooh, someone's in the kitchen.
And you know what? You might, there's a chance you might have everything in your store cupboard to make this, which would be a very good thing at the moment.
The best puddings
Yeah.
are store cupboard puddings.
Yeah, there might just be one ingredient you might not have.
The amazing thing about, I think, this pudding is, though, it's a real event.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's a real event.
Yeah,
so
and
a store cupboard
it
pudding
is. It's
that you can
quite-
knock up and it'd be, woo.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy and it's, it's quick. But if you produce this,
People will go, wow.
tonight,
Yes.
after your dinner, people would be
Tonight,
like...
Matthew, I'm going to be.
All your family will be like, whoa, you've just made this.
Yes.
Honestly,
they'll be very
it's
impressed.
quite a bit of a showcase piece.
And I've already eaten 2 of them.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank goodness for running. Now, guess what? Someone has been getting inspired with the whole cooking thing. Someone's been watching Julia Child.
Do you know I have? Oh, I love her so much. Me and Bryony love the film. Do you know Julia?
I love the film.
Julie and Julia. We all love the film.
I love the film.
We do. We all love
I
the
always
film.
get teary at the end where
Meryl's-
it fades out. And
Yeah.
Julia Child's just one of those people, her and her husband, that just
Yeah.
should be in existence.
All the time.
They're just wonderful people who should
yeah.
exist.
And the film's brilliant. And Meryl Streep is just amazing in
Anything
that
she
film.
does is
She's fantastic,
pretty
isn't
good.
she? And I'm sure you've all seen the film, but if there's any out there who haven't, honestly, go and watch it. It's the best film. And I just realised the other day, do you know, I don't think I've ever watched her. So I went onto YouTube, and obviously there's loads of Julia Child videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and I said to Bryony, I said, who's this? Because she obviously loved the film, and she looked at it and she went, it's not Meryl Streep. I said, no, it's not. I said, that's actually Julia Child. And, Meryl Streep does such a good job of, her mannerisms and her voice and everything that...
She's not the only person who does a good job of her voice. And I won't ask you to do it now.
I'm not doing it.
But Kay did a Julia Child impression, and I've got to say it was pretty impressive.
I don't do silly things.
For quite a while as well. It wasn't just a couple of words.
Well,
I think you said a sentence.
Well, you were lucky because I generally don't do silly things when you're
It was
there.
really good.
I do when it's just me and Bryony, and she laughs and everything. But when
I'm
downstairs,
sure at some point in this season of Pudding Club,
I won't do silly things.
maybe we'll get a bit of Julia Child in one of the episodes.
It's unlikely, but I love her. She's amazing, and I do have the book. I have got the book, and it's just French. It's obviously based on it's like French cooking, isn't it?
Yes.
It's so.
They like their butter.
Yeah, it's rich. A lot of butter.
And they
lot
like
of
to stuff
cream.
birds in birds.
Yeah, it's all quite sort of involved, isn't it? I did once make the beef bourguignon, didn't I? And it took forever. Oh, I did it on here.
We did it on Cooking the World,
Yeah.
and we made that episode available to everybody.
Right.
But I'll put a link in the show notes below to the Cooking the World series.
Right, yes, I did actually make the beef bourguignon.
It was
and
amazing.
It was amazing.
Was like, shut the front door, go to the foot of our stairs, amazing.
But it took me all day.
Yes,
You know,
and you needed a lie down.
I needed a lie down at the end of it. Bryony loved it.
Dealing with the shallots was a real pain.
Bryony loved it, which is, a miracle, getting a child to eat a stew.
I know. You may have seen earlier this week, we put out a special little episode.
Yes.
And just in case you didn't see it, I know thousands of you have, and thank you all so much for all the lovely comments. I was getting quite emotional reading some of those comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the lovely comments that you put on that special video. But for people who haven't seen it, we just felt that we must just say it here too, because look, when you're here with us, there will be no talk of viruses. In fact, that's all I'm going to say. And the reason for that is this. We had first-hand experience of dealing with a very stressful situation, as you all know, with my cancer journey. And the one thing that we always wanted, that we were always looking to try and find, was somewhere where we could feel normal.
Just a normal day. We just wanted a normal day.
Any space that we could find that was like, you're not Dan, the guy with cancer.
Yeah.
You're just Dan and Kay.
Yeah.
And you're having a nice time. And what we decided is we want to try and be that space for all of you. We know that there's millions of people out there really scared and worried, and hopefully what we can do, if it's just the tiniest, smallest thing, if we can just give you a couple of hours, or about an hour and 50 minutes of escapism, then I hope that might help your day. But not only that, we wanted to just go that extra little mile, like you do on your walks. Over the last nearly 5 years now, we have been thanks to our amazing Bakery Bed patrons, who, without them, we would not be sat here with you now.
No.
We are empowered solely by our patrons.
We are.
And in the course of that time, we've produced lots of lovely series.
Yep, we do. Yep.
And one of Kay's favourites, what was it?
The Perfect Cup of Tea.
The Quest for the Perfect Cup of Tea.
We went on, there's 12 episodes, I think.
There is indeed.
In search of, cafes that do the perfect cup of tea. And we had a scone as well.
We did. And we know that there are millions of you who are stuck indoors at the moment. So we thought the perfect thing to do is for us to make that series, which was only available to our Bakery Bed patrons, now available to everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
So you'll find a link to it below and also in the show notes below. And if you just click on that link, it'll take you straight to the series, and you can join us as we travel all over Yorkshire and County Durham in our quest for the perfect cup of tea. And we find it too.
We do. And I said to Dan, when he reminded me of this series, and we spoke about what we were going to do, I said, can you remember that cafe?
Yes.
And it was the one that's the winner.
I couldn't, but then I did.
It was astounding. The scone that we had in that cafe was absolutely the best thing. And I want to go back and have another one. We haven't been back since, which is ludicrous.
You can join us in a trip to that very place. Now, we won't tell you which one it is.
Nope.
Because that'll spoil the surprise. You will find out at the end of the series. That's when we discover who first, second, third and fourth place is. And it was quite a surprise, actually.
It was.
Some of the places that we expected to be good weren't quite so good.
And subsequently, actually, a few of the places have closed, haven't they? That we visited.
Because they knew
just as, naturally.
It couldn't get better than a visit from the Bakery Bears. There's no point carrying on. Dan and Kay have been.
That is a bit worrying, isn't it?
We shall shut our doors.
Those two have been again. We need to close.
So look, folks, that is available for you to watch right now, and that'll be available for at least the next month. And what we're going to do for the next month is every Monday we're going to make another series available to the world.
Yeah.
And that series again will be available for at least the next month. So that'll be 4 series. Every Monday we'll do another one. Yeah. If you want to keep track, if you just go to our website, to our homepage, and at the bottom there will always say this is the series that we've made available this week. It's a tiny little gesture.
Yeah. But it's something we could do, and I think the times that we're living in at the minute are unprecedented, really. And you just try
together.
We'll
get through it.
Absolutely, we will. Of course, we will. Life goes on, as we know. People say that often, don't they, with situations, and we said that a lot.
Yes.
When Dan had cancer, life does go on, and the world keeps turning, and we will absolutely get through it. And
we will.
if we can get through it as positive as possible, and
That's the ticket, folks.
yeah, that's the thing to do. I think
That is
that's the only
absolutely
thing
the
to do, isn't it?
Yes.
Really.
So
yeah.
that is the first and the last time we will discuss anything to do with viruses. This is your safe place, and our safe place will continue now. Before we get on to what's on your needles, newsflash, everyone.
Newsflash.
Do you know what the newsflash is?
No.
Somebody has developed a love for American football.
Come on.
Now look,
I've become like
Big
a
time.
super fan.
she's so into it. Through my life, I've never really enjoyed football. That's soccer,
English football. No.
Quite like cricket.
Can't bear it. I don't mind cricket.
But I would never watch it avidly.
No.
Rugby can really take it or leave it. But American football, ever since I was but a nipper, it all happened thanks to my tooth that we've mentioned a few times. And I was feeling particularly bad after having the remains of that tooth excised, removed.
You're doing well with that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And Kay said to me, look, I tell you what, let's just go sit down, I'll sit with you, and you can put on, she calls it, your football boys. She didn't know quite what it was at this point, but I was watching the latest All or Nothing series on Amazon Prime about the Philadelphia Eagles. So Kay started watching it with me, and within really 10-15 minutes, she's
I was absolutely hooked.
She loved Brandon Graham. She's like,
I love him.
Loving Carson Wentz and
Carson. He's great.
Loving the whole thing. Really enjoying it.
Yeah.
So we finished watching that series. I said, "Do you know there's more? You know?" She's like,
right.
"Ooh." So I thought we'll go back to the beginning. I'll put on the first season because the first season of All or Nothing was my favourite, and that first season was all about the Arizona Cardinals. They have a new superfan.
I love Arizona. I think they've become my team. I'm going to order a T-shirt, I think.
Yes, it's so great. And it's so lovely. It's been such a lovely experience. And I said to Kay that this must have been like what it was when you got me into knitting.
Yeah.
And I was like, but because it's a long time ago now, so it's hard to remember.
I don't really remember.
But I do recall Kay saying to me a few times, oh my goodness, it's so lovely to be able to talk to you about, whether it be yarn or whatever, and you know what I'm saying, and to be enthused.
Yeah.
Well, now it's like I'm getting that gift back.
Yeah, I still don't fully understand what's going on, but I'm
But you're learning all the time. So look, we won't dwell on American football, but I was so excited and I wanted to tell you. And what has been so lovely for me as well is, for me, I've always said that American football was one of the best sports because it's so strategic, because it's like chess. And now finally to have someone who can sit there and say to me, do you know what, you're absolutely right. Because I've never had a friend who's liked American football with me. So
I think my favourite player so far has been Larry Fitzgerald.
He's
I
tremendous.
love Larry.
He's a real...
I might be getting a pop figure, I think, for Mother's Day.
Great guy. He's a great guy.
A Larry pop figure. Listen to me. I keep saying to Dan, when I say something about it, I'm like, whoa, did I just say that?
Look, enough of this.
Enough of that.
Enough of this. It's time for me to ask Kay Jones, what's on your needles? And it is needles. Thank you.
Yes, because there's no crochet this time.
Excellent.
I have done.
I don't have a problem with crochet.
Excellent. It's not excellent at all.
shoulder problem.
I have done a lot of crochet over the past couple of weeks, and subsequently I've injured myself again. Because that's just what I do. I didn't realise it was crochet this time because it was my other shoulder. This time it was my left shoulder, and it's
funny that we went through the same process.
It's always been my right.
What could it be?
I know.
What's causing
I did absolutely go through.
And then I think it was one morning you realised again, didn't you?
Well, it was one morning when I hadn't crocheted for a couple of days, and then I did one night, and then the next morning I was like, oh, that really hurts, and then it twigged what it was. So I haven't crocheted for a few days, and it is feeling much better.
Before you start talking about that sock, I just feel like I have to say this is not a pink gin.
No, it's not pink gin.
Alcohol does not pass my lips. This is the most delicious, low sugar.
Yeah, and it's not very fizzy either.
Raspberry lemonade, because I have difficulty with my tummy with really fizzy things, and I've now come to the conclusion. I know I went through an addiction to Coke. Coca-Cola. They're made by Gunna Drinks, Gunna. And
they're in a can. You get them in a 4-pack.
And the sugar, on a normal can of sugar, I think it's something like 11%.
It's loads, isn't it?
And on these, it's 3.9 on the Coke, and it's even lower on the raspberry lemonade.
Right.
And it's just brilliant. It's really nice. It's not too fizzy.
You only have like one a day at the most.
I don't even have one a day.
No.
No. I'm still lemonade man.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't drink fizzy drinks at all. I'm
No.
just a sparkling water is my drink.
Yeah.
That's all I ever drink, really.
Yeah.
And decaf tea. That's me.
And beer, pints of beer.
Oh, yeah, pints of beer. Yeah.
Show us your sock, woman.
Right, I'm working on a sock, and I've got them both on the go here. That's become
It's way too confusing.
It's very confusing, isn't it? Now, I'm knitting another pair of umbrella socks.
These are epic.
Now, thank you to everybody for your interest in the umbrella socks pattern, having spoke about it on the last podcast. I have finished that pair I was working on. I will show you that.
No, what's off your needles?
Thank you. I'll show you that.
It's only been 146 episodes.
I'll show you that in What's Off Your Needles. But I wanted to start another pair for a couple of reasons. One, because I just wanted to knit another pair. Because I enjoyed it so much. But also, I wanted to knit another pair so that I could record some tutorials.
Which we've done.
Yes. I've written the pattern. Photos are done. So I'm well on with the process, and I've actually got test knitters in place now.
I think you've been encouraged by people's excitement, actually, haven't you? That's really driven you on.
I have, but I'm also really excited about it myself.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
As soon as I saw the first one, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I've got a pool of test knitters now. I think I've got 16 test knitters. I wanted a really good number of testers and I wanted a mix of people. I've got people who don't normally like toe-up socks, people who don't normally like afterthought heels, and then I've also got some people who love toe-up socks and have knit afterthought heels before and things like that. So I wanted a really good cross-section of knitters so that I can get a really good idea on, how this is going to work for lots of different types of foot shape and knitters. I want to make sure that it's enjoyable, that it fits well, all of those things. So I'm being really thorough. So, it should be going into test knitting in the next week or two, and then I'll just keep you updated as to how that goes. So I'm doing everything as quickly as I can with regards to it. I know I've had messages, people are really keen on getting the pattern, which is lovely, thank you so much. But I do want to be really thorough with this, just because it's such a new technique and I've never done it before. I want to make sure that it's as good as I can possibly make it. So I'm on to the second pair. Now I'm using, as you can see, I've cut in for the heel here. I'll show you the other side so you can see the yarn. Isn't it lovely? So I'm using a speckled for this pair, and then this lovely sunny yellow for the cuffs, heels and toes. So this yarn is one that I spoke about recently, that I said, I must cast that yarn on, and I decided to. And it's the one from Loom Wool, and it's Faded Seaside Glamour, 75/25, and it's just this gorgeous speckled, it's grey with all these lovely speckles in. And it's knitting up fantastically. When I wound the skein ready to cake it, I always have a look at the skein when it's speckled, because you can get some speckled yarns that are not speckled all the way through. And this one looked brilliant because, one side had lots of speckles, but then when you looked at the inside, it also had lots of speckles all the way around. So that really pleased me. I was initially going to use a different yarn, and I really wanted to use this yarn, and I caked it up and everything. However, when I saw it in the skein, it looked to me like there was only speckles on kind of one side of the skein. And do you know how you get that quite often, where one sock will look a lot different to the other sock?
I don't like that.
I don't care for it either, and this is a completely personal choice. A lot of people are not bothered about that, and that's fine. We're all different, aren't we? And everybody likes different things. But when I'm producing a pair of socks, I want them, if they're speckled, I want them to look the same. I mean, you can get a bit of difference within a skein, but generally I want them to look like they're from the same skein of yarn.
Similar, at least.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how this one's going to knit up, but it's from Dandelion and Dogwood. I got this back in October, I think. So it's Dandelion and Dogwood, and it was her October Unicorn colour. And it's gorgeous. It's just such a pretty colour. But can you see how the outside bit here are speckles, but then when you get inside, there's really not very much at all. So when you look at the outside, you can see kind of quite a few speckles. But inside, whoops, that's not a very good side. There's not too many. And when I unfurled the skein, that's what it looked like. It looked like there was just speckles on one side of the yarn and not so much on the inside. So I ummed and ahed about it for a few days because I really, really wanted to use it because I love this colour. I think it's gorgeous. But in the end, I just thought, you know what, I'm likely going to photograph these socks. They might come as like another sample within the pattern. And I can't risk knitting a whole pair and them not looking like they're from the same skein of yarn. So I didn't use this one, sadly, but I think I will probably still make a pair of socks out of it, but just not one that I will put in a pattern. I'm not criticising the yarn at all, you know, this is quite common, I think, these days. Some dyers dye in different ways, and this, you know, can happen. It's not a problem at all. So I'm using the loom wool, and so as you can see, I've cut in here for the heel, and I used this one for the tutorial to do that. So it's got this modified, so you start at the toe, it's toe up. So it's got a modified umbrella toe that's worked toe up. And then obviously you just knit, and a cuff, and then the bind off is a sewn bind off, but I think it mimics a long tail cast on really well. I hope you can see that. And it's got lots of stretch, look. Lovely and stretchy. So I'm really happy with all of the elements of it. And I'm just really enjoying knitting the second sock. I did actually cast on the second toe because I realised that I needed the other one on because there's something I want to show you sort of when I'm at a certain point through the sock. So I cast on the second one the other night on a different set of needles, obviously. So I've just got an almost completed toe there. And I love, isn't this yellow just so happy and sunny? Because this one was called Faded Seaside Glamour, the loom, I thought, I'm going to have a nice sunny yellow, because then if you're at the seaside, then it'd be, not often in this country is it sunny at the seaside, but sometimes it's sunny. So I decided to use this yellow from, it's Cascade Heritage. I'm not sure of the name, but it's 5644. And it's just such a gorgeous sunny yellow. I would love a whole pair of socks in this, actually, and I might do that at some point. I just think it's lovely, and I love Cascade Heritage for your contrast. It's just great. And I realised that when I knit the first pair, I knit a 64 stitch size, and I used exactly 20 grams for the cuffs, heel and toe for the pair. So if you're knitting the 72 stitch size, you will need a little bit more than 20 grams, and that'll be in the pattern. You know, you don't have to do the cuff, obviously, in a contrast, and if you didn't do that, then you would have enough with a 20 gram mini. But because I think the reason it's taken a bit more yarn than I say is normal, I think normally for a 64 stitch sock, you could probably get cuffs, heels and toes out of a 20 gram mini, and I did, but when I weighed it, literally I'd used 20 grams. So I will make sure in the pattern that I say, to give a bit of an allowance for that. But I think because the heel in this, I think he's more roomy than normal, I've used a bit more yarn. So if you wanted to use a 20 gram mini, then I would suggest that you don't probably do a contrast cuff. With the smaller size, you'd be fine with the 56 stitch and probably with the 64. But with the 72, you'd either need more than 20 grams or, just do the cuff in the same colour. Somebody mentioned to me, and I forgot to mention this on the last podcast, but somebody said, you should get a sock ruler. I actually had purchased a sock ruler, but I just forgot to talk about it. And I've since purchased another one because the original one I purchased is
rubbish.
I don't like it. It's my own fault. I rushed to purchase it and I didn't really pay attention to it on the screen. I just saw a sock ruler and thought it'll be fine and ordered it. And I don't like it at all. It's from Yarnistry. Can you see there? It says Yarnistry. Oh, reflection. There we go. And it's, for starters, I mean, it doesn't matter that it's orange, but on the screen when I ordered it, it wasn't orange, it was a different colour. And they must just have a selection of colours, I'm guessing, and they just send you whatever. But I wasn't keen on the colour, but, you know, I could have lived with that. But the main thing, really, is that it's only in centimetres. It doesn't have inches on here. I'm just no good with centimetres at all. I don't really understand. Of course I understand them, but when I think of measurements for socks particularly that I'm talking about, I always think in inches. And for me to just have to constantly recalculate to centimetres was just not going to work for me. And the other thing that I don't particularly like or agree with, can you see down here? It's not very easy to see this white on the orange, but UK, Euro and US sizes down here. Well, when I looked at the UK sizes up here, right, it says, it gives you the UK size and then the length of foot. Well, I presume it's the length of foot. It doesn't say it is. It just says, for example, I'm a UK 6. It says UK 6, 24.6 centimetres. Now that must be foot length. But when you convert that to inches, I think it's something like 9 3/4. My foot length is 9 1/4. And I'm a size 6. I've always been a size 6. So that's like half an inch bigger than what I am. So if I'd have been guided by that, then it wouldn't have fit my foot. So, and I think, you know, there might be other people out there that are a UK 6 but might have a slightly different foot length to me. So I think to put the foot length on here is a bit misleading, and I'm not sure it's entirely helpful.
It's just not very well designed.
No.
We particularly like the hanging hook, so you can stick it around your neck so that it's there for you when you need to.
I'm presuming it's so that you can hang it on a hook somewhere, although I can't think.
Thoughtful.
I can't think where I'd hang it. It's also very thick plastic.
Yeah.
And it's big. It's quite big. Wide, you know. So I didn't like it. You can probably tell I didn't like it.
But you got another one. What's that one like? I
bought another one, and this one's way better. This is the original sock ruler. It's called the Sock Ruler. It's got a patent, www.sockruler.com. But it does have inches and it does have centimetres. It's just a basic sock ruler.
That's all you need.
Can you see the difference in the size? I mean, look at the difference in the size. It's crazy. It doesn't need to be this big, does it?
No.
It's much thinner plastic.
So you want something that's more pliable, don't you, when you stick it in and out of a sock?
When you're popping it in a sock, yeah, absolutely. And this, you know, this worked perfectly. So, for example, I'll pop it into this one. I'm obviously doing that with the gap. But look, there you go. So you can see I've worked to just over 7 inches, which is perfect for my foot length. That's exactly where I wanted it to be. It's easy to measure. You just pop it in. You know, I don't overstretch it. I just lay it down and then measure it. Dead easy. So I would recommend this one. Really good. Wouldn't recommend the other one. You don't have to have a sock ruler. You can just measure it with a tape measure. But they are useful.
Have you finished now?
I think I've finished with that.
Cool. Look.
Dan Jones?
Yes.
What's on your needles?
Well, I shall tell you. The first time ever in the history of the Bakery Bears, this must be...
Oh, I'll get a blocker.
This has got to be double speed to what I would normally produce a single sock.
So, yeah.
You've only seen this 3 times.
Seen it? You've only seen
You've seen it 3 times.
You sound like from Yorkshire.
I'm picking up the accent of my in-laws. And it's done. And it just flew off the needles, literally flew off the needles. Look
at that.
This is like Bankhead singy musical tunes in my head whilst knitting. Lovely production,
That's lovely.
greatness completely.
And I'll take it off there so you can show the front.
Okay, I wondered what you meant. Look, it's just like perfect. The combination is just the cables, but they're twists, but they're still cables. I don't care what you say. And then in the middle is lace, but it's just it's to die for. I love this sock so much.
He has kept saying.
I just love everything about it. I just adore it. I adore it. Every bit of it just works. And I've worked really hard on my heel.
It looks brilliant.
And it's so much better. Kay said when I gave it to her, she said that's the best sock you've ever knit. And that's just wonderful to hear. I mean, it's just tremendous. And the yarn is just,
It's gorgeous. I love it. And I must...
It's like... It's everything that you want from yarn. It's not prickly. It's like sumptuous and lovely. And you just think, oh, I want a jumper in that.
Yeah.
I want anything in that. I think the thing I like the most about it is there's just no hint of... Well, I don't think I can see a hint of a halo.
There is a bit of a halo, but that's the yak.
Yeah, I'm meaning the halo I produce.
Oh, right, okay.
The Dan halo.
No.
I tend to produce like a haze on it, and it looks like it did
when it was in the ball.
In the ball.
This is the yarn. It's gorgeous. It's the Regia Merino Yak.
Shall it
4-ply. And it's colour number 07513. I think it's called teal something.
Yes.
But I'm not entirely
Well, I don't know that's what it's called, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just lovely.
Cast on the second sock, but I've not made much progress because I only did it. I cast it on once, and
Oh, you messed it up, didn't you?
yeah, cast-ons. I really don't like casting on. It's not my
Where's your tail?
cup of tea at all. It's fine.
Oh, it's really super long, your tail.
Yeah, casting on, as you know, is just not my cup of tea, and it's something I need to get better at, and I will. But in the process of casting on, I lost the first stitch. Well, no, I started knitting, and just something went wrong, and I just lost the first stitch. So I just pulled it off and started again. And I always get worried about that cast on edge. It always feels like, but it's fine.
Well, you do a German twisted, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I don't like that cast on. I don't like the look of that cast on because I don't like you get those little pearl blips, don't you?
Yeah, I quite like
on
it.
the front side. I don't like that very much. So I don't. I just do a normal long tail. But I think German twisted is a bit more stretchy, isn't it?
Which is the reason why I do it.
Yeah, because you're tight. So
Because I'm tight.
Because you're tight.
So yes, it's the Whispers in the Wall socks.
You'll have to knit the big pair for yourself.
I don't like knitting for myself.
I'm not doing them for you.
I'm not asking you to.
Okay.
I'm not enthused to knit for myself. I get too much enjoyment knitting and giving stuff to other people.
Yeah, I'm the same actually.
But I just and actually I'm sort of getting there with the Nutkin socks too.
Yeah.
I'm with my feelings of love.
Oh, cool.
That's so funny. It's unbelievably wonderful to be enthused about sock knitting because until...
I know, I couldn't believe it actually. I keep saying to him, why are you knitting socks? You don't like knitting socks. And he's like, no, I do now.
You just have to find the right pattern. You have to find the pattern and I think with socks, I just wonder if just the textural nature, and they're lovely, there's loads of lovely patterns out there, textural socks, lovely, but I just think perhaps for me, there's not enough going on. With this, you're getting everything. Because you've got the textural stuff here, just plain knitting. And here, gorgeousness. What I love so much about this pattern is how great it looks when it's on someone's foot.
And I was just thinking about it actually. I mean, it would work toe up, wouldn't it? Because if you turn it the other way around, it looks the same.
Yeah.
So I could just pop that onto the front of, a toe up sock, just on the front, obviously keep the back plain, and it would look lovely.
What else is on your needles?
Right, the other thing I've been working on this past couple of weeks is my mindful knitting.
Oh, yes.
And do you know what? I haven't worked on this for the past few days for various reasons. I've had to focus on other things, and I've not had the time during the day to knit it, and I've really missed it. Gosh, I've really missed working on it. And it's Dan's tank top, his vest thing.
Can you see how excited I am about this?
I know,
yes.
And I'm just so enjoying it. And I've tried to find a project bag that was the most sort of calming, if you like.
Yeah.
And I made this one a few years ago, and I just think it's peaceful, isn't it? With the moon and the
If you painted those birds red, Kate,
and it's got lovely birds.
they look like cardinals.
And it would. It does look a bit like a cardinal. 1, 2, 3, cards.
Cards on 3. We decided.
What is that all about?
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh. Do you know where they all go? 1, 2, 3, and then say a word?
Okay, break it down. Are Are you ready? You ready? This is what I did the other day. Are you ready? Unicorns on 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Unicorns.
It just makes me laugh because I'm like, what? The first time they did it, I said to Dan, "What are they doing? What are they saying?" You know?
Lace knitting on 3. 1, 2, 3. Lace knitting.
And then the next time they said a different word. It's usually like family.
Family on 3. Family.
Yeah, family's very often. Team is another big one. Or the name of the team they say, don't they? Or, It's brilliant. I love that bit. And I'm like, oh, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
Just makes me laugh so much. And at first I just thought it was that one team that did it.
No, that everyone
and then
does
in the
it.
next one I was like, everybody does it.
Break it down.
Brilliant. Right, my tank top, Dan's tank top. Look how much I've done.
She's flying.
Look where I'm at. Look. I think I've done loads.
Yeah.
I think it was, hang on, I'd done 5 repeats last time. 1, 2. It was here. So I've done all of this much since last time. Isn't it nice? Look at that. The more I knit, the more I really love it.
Well, that's even
and
better.
I'm on to my...
The continuous ripples of the penguono.
Do you know, I haven't worn that at all these past couple of weeks either.
It has got warmer, though.
That's true, actually. It's not been very cold in the morning, so yeah. I'm on to my 4th 50-gram skein now. This is the 4th one, and I started that a few rows, maybe 2 or 3 rows back. So I'm on to the 4th one. I'm not spit splicing this. You can, I mean, this is a superwash. It's Drops Charisma in colour 21.
Ooh, spit splice is like a dream.
It's colour 21, and I think it's something like mid-grey mix is what it's called.
Why aren't you spit splicing? Too much for faff.
Yeah, I think that's mainly the thing. I mean, it's a superwash, but we've found out you can spit splice this
Honestly,
quite successfully.
Brilliant. I've done it loads.
Yeah, you have. But I just thought, you know what, I don't want the faff. So, you know, I have got ends on the back to sew in. It's not a bother to me. It's absolutely fine. And I'm making sure that when I have to change a ball, I'm doing it in this moss stitch panel here, because that's easier to weave in. You know, I don't want to have to add a new ball in when I'm doing like these cables or twists or anything like that. So I'm always watching, you know, when I get close to the end of a ball, to make sure that I change it when I'm in one of those panels on the side. But isn't moss stitch just the best fabric? Look at that. And isn't this yarn just fantastic?
Yes.
How sort of tonal it is, and not tonal, it's heathered, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I love these, the honeycomb cable. Look at the back with all the little dimples. It's really cool, isn't it? You know, you can put your finger right in. Yeah. It's really sucks the fabric in. I think it's great. So I'm just continuing on, and what I did actually at the beginning when I cast on is I left a huge amount of yarn here. You can see I've just tied it into a little bundle, because what I learned from doing Dan's other vest is that I'm going to have to seam these sides together, and to save having to sew ends in, if I leave a long piece like this, I can use this to seam it together, and then I've not got any ends down here to sew in. My mum always used to do that, and I remembered, you know, when I was casting on, I used to think, oh, mum always had a little bundle of yarn sort of dangling from the end, and now I've realised why she did it. It's so that she can use that to seam it together.
I wonder who taught her that.
So...
I wonder if she learned that.
I don't know. I don't even know.
Because I doubt it was written in a pattern, given the fact that patterns
Oh, no.
were
I mean,
so...
the pattern is...
Who taught her to knit?
I don't know who taught my mum to knit.
These are questions that need asking.
It must have been back in Ireland, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Mum lived in Ireland until she was about 11, I think, 10 or 11. So this is the pattern I'm using. It's a vintage 1980s pattern, I believe. And it's by Peyton's. And it's called... His and Her Aran Vest with Neck Options. Fabulous name. But I'm not finding it a problem at all to work from it. I mean, at the moment, I'm just doing the same thing over and over, you know. It's very similarly written to the other one, so I'm kind of hoping I can negotiate the strangeness. I'm working it on 3.75mm. The pattern recommended 4mm, but to get gauge, I had to use a 3.75, which is fine. It's producing a nice, quite, not dense, but it's a really nice fabric. It's not gappy or anything like that. It's just really lovely. So I'm not sure, I've got to knit to a certain amount of length. before I start doing the shoulder sort of decreases, isn't it?
The neck options.
The arm and the arm decreases up to the shoulder. And what I will do actually is I'll get Dan's other tank top and I'm just going to measure that because that's the perfect length, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yes.
I'll just knit to the length of that one as near as I can with the repeats that I've got going on. Although I don't think it really matters. I don't think you have to stop at a certain point in the repeat. It doesn't say that, I don't think. So yeah, I'm just working away, and I'm using this as my mindful knitting. We've got the Bakery Bears Mindful KAL going on at the moment.
Come and join us.
Absolutely, there's been loads of people that have. It's been fantastic, and there's a great chatter going on in the thread on Ravelry, and also on the hashtag on Instagram. So whilst I've been working on this top, I've got a lovely candle burning. I mentioned this last time.
Yes, and it makes me think that it's raining and the rain is pitter-pattering on the windows.
It smells really nice. I think I said I'd ordered a new one on the last episode and it came. And
because you didn't like the last one.
I didn't like the smell of the last one. I'm really funny with smells. I'm just funny with smells. But I thought I'd try this one because the way it was described...
Living with me, does it?
No. The way it was described, I thought, I think I might like that one. And I do like it. And it's from Woodwick, which I didn't realise, but it's part of Yankee Candle, I understand. And it's the ones with the crackly wick. So it crackles like... It's supposed to sound like a fire. I don't think it really sounds like a fire, I'll be honest. But it does make a nice noise. When I first lit it, it was so crackly. Bryony's like, I can't even hear the television. I said, I think you're exaggerating. But what I did was
You're not being very mindful, are you? I can't hear the TV anymore. What a wonderful child.
Teenager. I just trimmed the wick down a bit. And then it wasn't quite so crackly. So you just have to remember each time you use it just to sort of trim off that wick to, I think it's about 1/8 of an inch. And then it doesn't drive you crazy with the crackling. It's just quite nice.
Shut up, I'm trying to do my mindful knitting.
But this is called Amber and Incense. And it smells lovely. I prefer smells I've discovered that are like spicy or a bit incensey. I really like the churchy sort of smells, which I think is incense, isn't it? I think when you walk into a church, it does have that smell, doesn't it?
What used to happen in the Sunday service when I was a choir boy was they would come round with the incense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they would fling it towards you. And it was great. They'd come over to each side of the choir stalls and we were always like...
Yeah, we had that in Mass as well, and...
With the burning incense and the metal thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. They swung it, didn't they?
Gosh, he was like swinging it all over the place in that service. I mean, that would really build up your muscles. It would.
I don't know that it's that heavy.
Hey, it looked pretty weighty in the Minster.
Right, okay. It was a larger one.
It was big. It was big, yeah. Right. Good for him.
But yeah, it has got that bit of an incensey smell going on. It's also a little bit smoky maybe, and it's really nice. I mean, if you like that kind of smell, then I think you'd really enjoy this. I just got the medium size, which is 275 grams. And I ordered this online. I know you can get them all over the place, can't you, these days? But it's a really nice one. And I'm really enjoying, burning this. And it does sort of linger. It's quite a strong smell, but I don't mind that if it's a smell I like. I don't like overly floral ones, and I don't like sweet smells. I love vanilla to eat it, but I can't bear smelling vanilla when it's burning on a candle or anything. It's just too overpowering for me. But this one's lovely, so... There we go. Oh, look.
I'm yoke knitting.
Oh, my goodness.
It's marvellous. It's taking me just a little bit of time to get back into the swing of things, just with regards to the different techniques I've worked at. But that's okay. Listen to her. Gosh.
What did I say?
It's like living with blooming Julia Child.
I don't think so. I don't know that I deserved that.
It's marvellous.
I don't think she spoke quite like that. That's slightly insulting to Julia.
It's just... so rewarding to finally be on the yoke, and as I get further into it, I know it's going to become. You need to get into the swing of things, don't you? And it's just going to become. I mean, I'm fairly happy so far. I mean, it looks fairly similar to the bottom.
It looks good. Yeah, I mean, you've got a whole garment now. Look, it's a whole thing. with
so cool.
sleeves and a body and pockets and everything. Oh, sorry, you don't want to lose your
I really don't want to lose my
stitches. I mean, look at the whole thing.
It's hard to show, isn't it?
It's very difficult
When
to
it gets
show.
this big and when it's all
It'll be much
scrunched up on the
easier to
needles.
show when it's on my body.
Yes, yes.
Then I will do a nice little modelling session.
The colours do suit you, which is great.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the blue. Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a good amount of that. Once
Yeah,
when we
that's
get up onto
all
the top.
around your sort of face, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, you know, progressing absolutely great.
Look at the ends.
Yeah, there's quite a few. And I have been spit splicing it in the main body.
I don't mind doing ends, but that's a bit much.
Well, first of all, they will all be too long.
Well, they're all massively too long, but there's still a lot there.
Yeah. I mean,
They're all tangly because they're too long as well.
maybe we should have a trimming session.
Maybe.
But that might make it
Yeah.
seem a bit less daunting.
Yeah.
I probably need your help.
These underarms are weird,
to
aren't
do
they?
that.
You have to. You've got like a bunch of stitches on either side of the underarm, and I'm presuming you graft those together.
I think that's what it says.
But I do think it's going to leave holes either side, so we'll
Right.
have to sew those up as well. So.
Right.
Yeah, I'll probably have to do that for you because we'll want it to be neat, won't we?
Absolutely. Well, you'll be wearing it.
No offence to.
No, it's fine. This is why we work so well together. Because
Right.
case standards are high, that makes me want to reach them. So and as a learner, I've always been that way anyway. So it's very fortunate.
Yeah.
It really is very fortunate because it just makes me want to constantly get better at things. And you know, it's good to have someone. I'm very fortunate having someone in the house who knows what they're talking about, so that then it puts pressure on you, but it's positive pressure because you know you want to get better at these things. And you know, looking at that sock, clearly,
really good. It's
I
really
am.
good.
And I'm really glad that I am.
I'd be pleased if I'd knit that. So
What else is on your needles?
the last thing I've been working on, and I thought I would have had this finished actually, but I haven't. But alas, it will get finished.
But alas, earwax.
Oh, I could just watch a Harry Potter. I've been working on my stitching time blanket because I decided I was actually going to finish this sooner than I thought. And the reason is...
You've just finished your updated Stitching Time Blanket tutorial series.
Oh, right.
It just
Cool.
finished on Thursday.
Cool.
Marvellous.
Well, the reason I decided to make this smaller and to finish it is because I was going to have this as a bed runner, but we're actually redecorating our bedroom quite soon, and I just thought, do you know what, it's not going to go. Well, I say it's not going to go. I mean, it wouldn't not go, but...
Wonderful English. I don't even know what that means. It wouldn't not go. Wouldn't not go. It would go. It would go. Is that the answer?
I could use it, but
You don't want to? That's
no,
fine.
the idea I've got in my mind for the colours and everything and that I want, it would be a bit too bright.
Yeah.
So I thought, do you know what? Actually, this will work perfectly as a sort of normal lap size blanket because the knitting chair we've now got in the kitchen hasn't got a blanket on the back of it or anything.
Oh,
so,
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just thought that's perfect.
And those colours work.
It can belong down there on the back of the chair because I do like having a blanket on the back of every chair if possible.
I think a bed runner is a bit utilitarian as well because it just sits there. You don't
That's
spend
true.
the day in the bedroom.
No, and it wouldn't
And then you get
really-
in bed and you don't see it because you're asleep.
Yeah, and bed runner, it wouldn't really be getting used as such. Because it wouldn't be big enough to sort of get under because
No.
it's just a certain width, isn't it, to run along the bottom of the bed. So it probably wouldn't have got used as a blanket. It's just there as like a pretty thing. And I
In a
prefer,
room that went only in when we're asleep.
yeah, and I prefer to be using something. So that was my sort of reasoning. So I'm almost there. I'll show you where I'm up to. Let me get this the right way round. It's currently 4x4. So this is, I don't know what you're seeing. Yes, you can see it. So this is where it's up to at the moment. You can see it's 4 blocks by 4 blocks. It's very pretty, isn't it? I thought to myself, I put it on my knee and I like it to just sort of go down to my feet when it's a lap blanket and it covers me perfectly, perfect size. So I thought, well, just one more row and that'll be big enough. So I've knit all of the blocks now, I'll show you, and I'm in the process of just bordering the last 2 and then I just need to sew them on. So These are the two that I had finished already. You saw these before.
Nice duckies.
Oh, look at my little duck. Look. Can you... Oh, hang on. Oh, hello. Can you see my little ducky? Oh, it's so sweet. I got this, it's a little set of, I think there was 5 progress keepers from Fripp and Bib. It used to be Fripperies and Bibelots on, I think it's Etsy, or maybe it's not Etsy, but it's Fripp and Bib. And she does stitch markers and all kinds of things. I love her stitch markers because they're just round with a little bead on. And it's the only ones I use, to be honest, standard stitch markers. But she was doing these with ducks on. Oh, had to have them. And Bryony stole one and she clipped it onto a pencil case, so I've got the other 4, so I'm using that just to help me. So he's on the blue one because he's a duck.
Quack.
And he's, look, oh, quack, he's on his little pond. Okay, I've spoken enough about the duck. So I've got this blue one, and then I've got a red one. These 2 you've seen before. These are waiting for borders. And then I've got 2 that are new and I've added borders to. So I've got a purple one. You can see this one is sort of like a middle one because we've got the bigger border at the bottom and then thinner along the sides. So lovely purples. And then this is my all-time favourite one, actually. Look at the colours of that. And this is a corner one, you can see, because we've got 2 larger borders and 2 smaller ones. This, can you see this one here? That's the dandelion and dogwood that I was talking about.
Right.
But I took that from the middle of the skein. So that's the least sort of speckled. And I think it's still lovely. It's beautiful, isn't it? So I'm definitely going to use it. And then it's just kind of bits of leftovers. That one I dyed. And that's Cascade Heritage. And that one is a mini from something, I can't remember what, but I just love the peachy tones of that. So I've got those 2 that are completed. So that one will sit there, like that. And then I've just got the red and the blue to border. And then just seam those 4 together, seam that onto the rest of the blanket, and it'll be finished.
Beautiful.
So I'm really excited to be getting that done. I would have had it finished, but I've been working on a couple of design things, so they kind of took priority. But this is my Stitching Time blanket pattern. That's the front cover. And the only modification that I made is that in my pattern each block has 9 mitered squares, and this one I just did 4. Exactly, everything's exactly the same apart from the size. I just did slightly smaller borders because it's a smaller block in the middle, but it's all exactly the same as the pattern. So I'm hoping I'll have that finished for next time.
Cool.
And then I can pop it on the back of the chair downstairs, which is a lovely grey colour, so I think it'll look really nice. I'm using again Cascade Heritage for the borders, and this is just white. It's the actual white. They do another colour called Snow, which is my favourite for borders, and that's like a creamy off-white, but this one is just white because I wanted that bright white contrast, which I think is really nice.
Hey, the wait is over. Oh yes, it's time for the return of the regular run. Yes, Kate, rather wonderfully, 9 episodes for the first time ever in this season of the Bakery Bears Pudding Club. She's already done 1 episode, but it was, of course, the Pudding Club special.
Oh, yes.
Where you made carrot cake, which I've got to say was stunning.
That was lovely. Yeah,
that is a Sunday afternoon slice of with a nice cup of tea.
I want some now.
Perfection.
I do like cake on a morning, I've got to say. It does work well for me, that. Yeah.
And I think this now is the perfect way to start the regular run, because this is a cake which you could pull out at a wedding, you could pull it out at a birthday, or you could pull it out for Sunday tea.
Absolutely.
Oh yes.
Yep.
So enough talk and more action, and let's get back into the kitchen with Kay.
Who's ready for a brand new season of Pudding Club? Yes, we're heading back into the kitchen for 8 brand new delicious bakes. Every one of them is inspired by the puddings of our youth. And at the end of the series, you can vote for your favourite. In 2019, you crowned Sticky Toffee Pudding your winner. But what will win this year? Let's find out in a brand new season of the Bakery Bears Pudding Club. Ladies and gentlemen, the bears are out of hibernation and the Pudding Club is back for its regular run. Just take a look at this. There's nothing quite so special as a delicious lemon meringue pie. Packed with a zesty filling and topped with the most gorgeous fluffy meringue, it's just the perfect centrepiece to any family occasion. But this is a pie with a secret. Because instead of a pastry crust, this lemon meringue pie is sat on the most Moorish biscuit base. And if you choose to use gluten-free biscuits, this beautiful bake is completely gluten-free. I think that's enough talk because I want to get in the kitchen and show you how easy it is to make this lovely lemon meringue pie. Okay, so what will we need for our delicious lemon meringue pie? So we need 175 grams of digestive biscuits. Now you can, if you want to, you can use gluten-free biscuits. If you do that, and then this recipe would be gluten-free. I'm just using standard McVitie's digestive biscuits, 175 grams. We need 175 grams of caster sugar, 3 large eggs, 75 grams of butter, 2 lovely big lemons. If your lemons are on the small side, I would suggest that you use 3. And then the final thing is a tin of full fat condensed milk. They tend to only come in this size, and this is a 397 gram tin. So what about our baking notions? Okay, so first thing is some weighing scales, just some kitchen weighing scales. We're then going to need the tin to make our lovely pie in. Now, you can actually use those pretty fluted pie tins. The ones, sometimes they're made of ceramic, sometimes they're metal. It's the ones with the kind of crinkled edge that it needs to be a straight edge going up. But you can use that if you want. I prefer to use this spring form one because it's much easier to get the pie out and then to cut it, because if you use the ones that's just a solid tin, then that first slice is kind of tricky to cut. But I find if I use one of these spring form, it comes out beautifully and it's really lovely then to cut. And this wants to be about 8 inches, which is about 20 centimetres in diameter, and I've buttered this and I've put in some grease proof on the bottom. We're then going to need a nice roomy mixing bowl, another just smaller bowl, some electric beaters. Mine's a handheld. You can, if you've got one of the countertop ones, that's fine as well. I just prefer the handheld. And then a rolling pin and a plastic bag. That will become apparent why you need that. A lemon zester. I've got one of these fancy microplane ones that you have to keep protected because it's so sharp, but it's absolutely the best thing for getting lemon zest off. And then a spatula and just, you know, your usual sort of utensils that you'll have in your drawer. One thing that I like to use is, this is actually my mum's old cake knife. She gave me this years ago. I think she said this was a wedding present, so this would come from 1956, made in Sheffield, stainless steel, still works absolutely perfectly, and it's just lovely to have something nice to cut your pies and your cakes with. So there we go, that's all our notions. So let's get baking. Right, so the very first thing to do is to make our biscuit base. So first of all, take your butter and pop that into a saucepan and just put that on low and let it just melt away. Don't need to do anything with it, just let that melt. Whilst that's melting, what we're going to do is we're going to take our biscuits and pop them into a freezer bag. You can do this in a food processor if you prefer, that's absolutely fine, but I just quite like giving the biscuits a nice bash with the rolling pin, it's quite nice. I just tie a loose knot in the top so they don't all fly everywhere. And then we're just going to turn these into crumbs. So I do this with a rolling pin. It's just very satisfying. I just really like doing this. Be careful with it because sometimes you can burst the bag and end up with crumbs everywhere. So you don't have to go crazy with it. They do crumb really easily. So this just takes a few minutes whilst your butter is melting. So you're multitasking. And this recipe, I feel, you know, everything probably maybe except the condensed milk, but some of you might have that as well. You'll have all of these things very likely just in your pantry and in your fridge. So it's a brilliant standby dessert. So just keep going until you've got crumbs. I do like to crumb them fairly finely because then I find that it produces a base that moulds together and sticks together much better if you've got quite a fine crumb to your biscuits. So I do a mixture of kind of bashing with the end of your rolling pin and then actually rolling. Usually it's used for a cheesecake base, but it just works brilliantly well with this because it saves all the nonsense of having to make pastry, which I don't think really any of us enjoy the prospect of having to make pastry, even if we really like eating it. And I know you can buy it, but it's not the cheapest thing to buy. And, you know, you might have half a packet of digestives in your cupboard, so we're being very, not frugal, but we're just being very efficient, I think. And I think it's also kind of lighter than a pastry base as well. It's not quite as heavy. See, we're nearly there now. Can you see how lovely and crumbed that all is? I just want to make sure there's no big bits of biscuit. When it's more of a crumb like this, you can roll it much easier. Oh, there's a big bit there. Get that one. That's lovely and crumbed now. So let's check on our butter. It's nearly there. Look, by the time we've bashed those biscuits, don't let it boil or anything like that. It's just a gentle heat to melt it. We can turn the heat off now because the residual heat will just finish melting that last bit. And I always use salted butter when I'm doing cooking or baking just because I prefer the flavour. I really don't like unsalted butter, but it's entirely up to you. If you want to use unsalted, then go ahead and do that. So that's all melted now. So what I'm going to do is just unknot our crumbs. Just roll that down a little bit and then pop your biscuit crumbs straight into your butter. And now just give that a stir. We want to just coat all of those biscuit crumbs in that lovely butter. It smells wonderful at this stage. If you do come across any big bits of biscuits, you can just give them a crush with your spoon. So it'll look like kind of a bit like wet sand, if you think, just sort of, yeah, it does look a bit like wet sand. Just make sure you've got all of your bits of biscuit coated, and there's a big bit there, so I'll give that a squash. And if you look down to the bottom of your saucepan, you'll be able to see that you've picked up all of the butter. That's all coated and lovely now. So now what we need to do is bring in your tin and just pile all of this lovely biscuit mixture straight into your tin. Now what we've got to do, if you were using one of the fluted dishes that I've mentioned, this bit's slightly easier, but it's still not a problem doing it in this type of tin. We're going to spread it over the base, but also up the sides as well. My tin here is probably 2 inches maybe high. I'm going to go about halfway up. But like I say, if you were using one of those fluted dishes, you just need to go up to the top of the edge. So first of all, spread it over the base so you've got a nice coating on the base, and then sort of mound it up around the edges evenly, and then just get a spoon and start to sort of push it up onto the sides. As I turn this around, you'll be able to see. Nice and firm, push it nice and firm, because that then means when it's been baked, you're going to get a solid edge around the sides. It's not going to collapse at all. It's going to keep all your lemon mixture inside. Go around, pushing it around the sides. You can see I've gone about halfway up here, and just keep going. Just pushing it really nice and firm. Take your time with this, you know, there's no rush, and I find that just by taking a few minutes to do this, it does make a difference to your finished pie. And then the bottom, just tap it all over, just to firm it all down. Make sure you've got an even sort of level all the way around. And then I like to just take my spoon and just level that off a little bit. I mean, I'm not after anything that I'd put in front of the Queen, you know, it's a home baked thing, but just want to level it off a tiny bit. And then those bits that fell down when you did that, just push them back, and then you can smooth the base as well. So we've made like a pastry case, but we've done it with biscuits and butter. Easy. So now what we need to do, just pop that into the fridge just to chill whilst we make the filling. Now what I've done is, into a bowl I've popped my condensed milk, and now I need to separate the eggs. This is always fun, isn't it? So I'm just going to pop my milk out of the way and bring in 2 bowls. I'm going to put my egg whites into the big bowl for making our meringues, and I'm going to put the yolks into a separate bowl. You can use all kinds of fancy devices to do this. I just tend to throw caution to the wind and hope that it works. So I'm just going to split the egg in half, I'm going to break it, and then I'm going to hold it so that the whites go into this bowl, and then I'll pop the yolk into this bowl. So wish me luck. So try and break it roughly in half, and then just pull it gently, and you can see the white starts to fall away. And then you need to put the yolk from this half of the shell into the other half, and that'll force the rest of the white out. And I just do that a couple of times, as many as I dare risk it. There's a bit more white in there, look, there we go. And then the yolk, pop into a separate bowl. That wasn't too bad. Let's hope the other 2 go as well. You don't want any yolk in your whites, because that will affect the way that your meringues whip up. Okay, 2 down. There we go. Oh, we did it. Okay, so just pop your egg whites to one side, and then just give your yolks a little mix. Just with a fork is fine. And now bring in your condensed milk and the lemons. So I kind of get everything ready before I mix it all together. So our lemons, what we need to do first of all is to take the zest off. So I've just got a little bowl. I've got my fancy schmancy microplaner. So just take your zester and just start to take off the zest. Go steady with this, because what we want, can you see I've taken the zest off and it leaves the sort of pith behind. We don't want that white pith, because that's really bitter. We just want the lovely fragrant zest. So just keep going all the way around till you've got all the zest off. And look, I've dropped some. We want that, we want it. There we go. So that's our zest done. And now we need the juice of the lemons. So to juice lemons, I don't use any gadgets. First of all, I just give the lemon a little roll, because that always helps release all of the juices, and you'll get much more juice from a lemon, or, you know, an orange or a lime, if you've given it a little roll. And then cut it in half. And all I do is I use my hand as a strainer for the pips. So I'm just going to squeeze it over my hand. You can sometimes get a couple of pips dropping in, it's no big deal, I just pick them out. So just let the juice fall through your fingers and catch as many pips as you can. And get all of that juice out. These are nice juicy lemons. So that's one. Let's get rid of the pips into there. If you've got a lemon squeezy thing, then obviously by all means use it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, first of all, I'm going to pop my egg yolks into my condensed milk. I always use a spatula to do this because I just like to make sure you get every little last bit. There we go. See how clean my bowl is by using a spatula. And just give that a mix, and I just use my spatula to do this bit. It just seems to be the perfect tool for it, but you can use a wooden spoon or whatever you like. It doesn't need to be any electric beaters or anything for this. Mix in your egg yolks, and at this stage it goes a beautiful colour. It's kind of like the colour of custard. It's kind of, sort of, what we're making. So that's our egg yolks all lovely and mixed in. And now pop in your zest. Mix that through. And then finally we're going to add the lemon juice. Now when you do this, what happens, you get like a chemical reaction between the lemon juice and the milk, and it will kind of look like it's an absolute horrible mess, curdly and disgusting. Just keep beating and it'll become nice and thick, and again that's the chemical reaction. So lemon juice in, and look, if I just stir it, can you see how gross it looks? Just keep stirring. And it'll begin to thicken. Don't panic at this stage because it does look a bit weird. Just keep mixing, and can you see how it started to thicken? That's the reaction between the lemon juice, the acid, and the milk. And it's now become lovely and thick. It's kind of miraculous, isn't it? I mean, look at it now to what it was a minute ago. It's brilliant. And that's our filling ready. Okay, so at this stage, when you've got your biscuit base finished, you've got your filling ready, you can, if you need to, you can just fridge both of those separately. So you've already got your biscuit base in the fridge, just pop your filling in the fridge as well, and you can leave that for a few hours. It won't come to any harm at all. So you can do all this prep in the morning if you want to, and then when you come to eat later on in the day, take those two things out of your fridge, and then you can finish it off and pop it in the oven. So I will see you for part 2 when we're going to put our pie together. We're going to whip up some meringues and then we're going to bake it.
Now you see why that is my perfect cake. And you know, yes, I do tend to get enthusiastic about cakes, but when you involve lemon,
it's a winner, isn't it?
Look, I drink loads of fresh lemonade. I absolutely love it. I always have since being really young. And anything lemon flavoured, I adore. So lemon curd is just one of my favourites, but anything lemon flavoured, I love. This lemon filling.
Oh, it's lovely.
Now, I know we haven't tried it yet. It's so easy
as well. I hope you saw how easy it was.
Yes, that's the point. That is absolutely the point. It's just so unbelievably straightforward and easy. I was astounded. When you taste it, when we finish this cake and we come back and we taste it after part 2.
So nice.
It's the most delicious thing ever.
I tell you, if you need a pick-me-up, which
that's it.
I think we all do right now, it's gorgeous.
That biscuit base as well.
Brilliant.
It takes away...
It's genius.
Doesn't it take away a lot of...
It takes away all of the stress for me. Pastry, I find pastry a stress because, sometimes it works brilliantly, but sometimes it doesn't. It's quite temperamental pastry. You can buy your own, absolutely.
But I mean, it feels like a bit of a cheat.
Oh, yeah, and it's not the cheapest as well. Whereas pretty much we've all got a packet of biscuits in the cupboard,
Smash them up, get some butter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stick them in a tin. Astounding.
And it's lovely. It works brilliantly well.
Stay absolutely tuned because this thing tastes great, and I love the way that you finish it all off, and then there's a lovely rewarding plop when you open up the cake tin.
Yeah, because using that tin for me was the key, because you know, when you make this pie as well, normally it's in one of the, you know, I spoke about it in the video.
It's a flan tin, isn't it?
Yeah, you use those pretty fluted flan tins. Quite often they're ceramic. And getting out the slices from one of
Would be
those
tricky,
is a nightmare, especially
Yeah.
the first slice. It just basically falls apart. But this is brilliant because it comes out of the tin and then you can just cut it. It's great.
And also, if you're going to use it on a birthday, you want it so that it's open on the
absolutely.
sides.
So you can see it.
Then that's when you get the impressive,
And
as you'll see later.
You can with this, so yeah.
So stay tuned. Back for part 2 later on in the show. We'll finish it off and we'll try some. But now, exciting day because I have. You see, it sounds like I never have a What's Off Your Needles, but I have a What's Off Your Needles, which I finished in December, but you've never seen. So get ready for that. First of all, though, it's a pattern launch day. Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
I've got a pattern launch. My crunkled socks came out yesterday. The pattern was published on Ravelry and Love Crafts, sorry. They're Love Crafts now, aren't they? And it's the crunkled socks. So I've spoken about these before, but they've now gone through the testing process. Actually, my testers were really quick. I didn't anticipate putting these out until the end of the month and they'd finished. So I thought, well, why not? Let's get those out, you know, because I know there's lots of you out there at the moment. Maybe you're looking for something new to cast on. And I'll take them off the blockers because the thing I love the most about these socks is the fabric. And I showed you Dan's last time, didn't I, how squishy it is. And these have been washed and blocked. But look how lovely and still squishy they look. You see what I mean? They're just gorgeous.
These are the perfect end of the day after bath.
They're so cozy.
Squishy socks.
And especially in this yarn, I used an MCN yarn from Sherry Iris. Isn't it lovely? And look, this is a good example of kind of what I want from a variegated or a speckled yarn. And if I show the two socks, you can see that it looks like it's come from the same skein of yarn. Do you know what I mean? You do, because I've just said it. And this is, you know, what I really love. So, yeah, the crunkled socks are out now, and within this pattern, I've included a video tutorial.
A brand new, up to date.
Yeah, I did a fresh one, and I'm actually working on the second sock, you know, when I did the tutorial for my... Oh, there's a hair. Hang on, sorry.
There's always a hair.
For my 2-stitch pickup technique. So if you look in the corners there... I hope you can see just how neat it is. There's no holes whatsoever. So there's a video tutorial in the pattern that shows you exactly how to do that. And I've been doing that on every pair of socks I've been knitting.
Yeah, me too.
Since I kind of discovered it.
Yep.
And I just love it. So it's cuffed down, heel flap. It's got a French heel turn, which my testers said they really liked it because it gives an extra bit of room across the gusset when you do this kind of heel turn, because you end up with more stitches at the end of the heel, whereas like a square heel turn, you've got less. So it gives a nicer fit. If you need a roomier fit on your gusset, this turns really good. And then my umbrella toe. Dan Jones,
yes.
What's off your needles?
Well, these are the socks which actually led me to knit the Whispers in the Wall socks. Because if I'd not enjoyed these two pairs of yours that I knit, because I knit the Jemima socks. Which ones are these?
Peter.
So I knit the Jemima ones, didn't I? Did I?
No, you've not knit Jemima.
Have I just done Peter?
Have you knit the Jemima socks?
Maybe I haven't.
I don't know.
No, I've just done Peter. I thought I'd done two of your socks. I have done the Jemima socks.
Maybe you have done Jemima.
Yeah,
the
Jemima socks, Peter socks, and that then gave me the confidence in the designer to knit something a bit more.
Nice, isn't it?
Well, they have to. I'm not messing here. They have to earn your trust, don't they? If they don't earn your trust, then why would you continue knitting their patterns?
Right.
Well,
okay, I'll remember that when
this
you next
lovely young
want
designer
me to make you a pie.
earned my trust, and I've continued knitting more of her patterns.
Well, that's kind. You didn't even buy the pattern.
And they're marvellous. Finished these, and these were a Christmas gift.
Yep, for me.
Yes.
I have worn them actually. But
they look very good.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can see, I think these were the socks which, when I cast them off, I think I said, oh, what do you think of my technique? And you said, you haven't got any.
I think it might have been, yeah. The heels are very loose. But they're fine. I've worn them and they're fine. I wear them in the house so that, you know, they're cosy. I actually like socks to be... I don't like a lot of negative ease on socks that I wear. I prefer them just to fit my foot nicely. I don't want them to feel like they're strangling my foot. But this was an opal yarn, wasn't it?
Yes. Symphony of Dreams.
Oh, Symphony of Dreams.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. In this colour. We've mentioned it several times before, what the colourway is.
Not for months, though.
But no, not for months. But I can't remember the name of the colourway.
It must have taken me about 4 months.
Was it something garden? No, I can't remember. Well, if you just look at the Symphony of Dreams range of opal, you'll spot which one it is. They're quite distinctive, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're absolutely so... I mean, it was the most fun yarn to knit with just because of the colours.
Yeah, they look really nice. Very happy, fun pair of socks there,
yes.
isn't it?
And the impetus that's led me to just sock wonderment with the whispers and the walls and the nutkin. So thank you for that.
That's okay.
Now, these I absolutely love.
Yes.
Specifically that one that you're sliding on to the blocker now.
All right.
Just look at that.
So this is my umbrella socks.
I mean...
I love this. I actually love this one. This colour.
No, you're wrong.
I'm wrong?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay. I'm wrong, apparently.
Each to their own.
These are my finished umbrella socks. And I used a sock set from Stripy Cat Yarns.
Right.
And it's called the Yin and Yang sock set. You get 50 grams of each. And do you know what? I only used 20 grams of the actual striping yarn. And then, so I used 40 grams altogether, and then I used 20 grams of the contrast, so they weigh 60 grams altogether, these socks. So I've got loads of this stripy yarn left, which is brilliant. You know, I can make some more.
It's cool.
But they do fit. They fit so well, and I'm just thrilled that they fit so well.
What's just tremendous is, you know, people have always loved your umbrella toe, and the fact that you've now been able to modify it for toe up, but then also create just
the heel, and I think
the most heel-like looking heel I've ever seen in an afterthought.
Well, you know, we'll see with testers, but
that looks like a heel.
You know, there's quite a lot of fabric in the heel. I don't know if you can see how nice and sort of stretchy that is. And what I see quite often with afterthought heels is, because the decreases are usually down here, aren't they? You get like this. It sort of does this. It sort of folds over, and it looks like there needn't be that amount of fabric there, you know, and that's why doing decreases all around seemed to make more sense to me. And I also made sure that it was deeper than a normal heel, because again, I think that's quite a common problem, that heels are not deep enough for people. And so
that looks like a foot. And normally, when I see socks like this, it doesn't look like a foot. It looks like a tube with a thing stuck in the back.
Yeah. I mean, when it's off the blocker, I've just been folding them like this. You know, I think that's a great way to store it. And they seem to naturally want to fold like that. And, you know, obviously when you're knitting it in a different direction. You're knitting it like this. You know, there's your heel. And it just, to me, looks like it's roomier, and certainly it definitely fits my foot great, and it fits Bryony's foot perfectly. Hers are not as hers are thinner. Her foots are a bit thinner than mine.
Lovely.
So yeah, like I said before, I'm working on the pattern, and I'll keep you posted as to the progress.
Lovely job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller.
Yes. So, folks, let's get back into the kitchen, finish off our delicious lemon meringue pie, and then stuff our faces with it.
Yummy. Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of Pudding Club. So it's now time to whip our meringues, put our pie all together, and then pop it in the oven. Right, so I've got the biscuit base out of the fridge, and it's now time to just pop in the filling. So I'm just going to pour this straight in, and then I'm going to use my spatula just to push it out to the edges. It doesn't want to go over the top of the biscuit base, just sort of gently push it around the edge. And there we go, that's now ready, and we can just pop that into the fridge to chill a little bit more while we whip up the meringue. Okay, so it's now time to whip up the meringue. I've got my whites in a bowl, a nice roomy bowl, and I'm going to whip these with an electric beater. So there we go, it's now at a stiff peak stage, and it's time to start adding in the sugar. We're going to do this a teaspoon at a time, just very slowly, beating in between. So there we go, that's our completed meringue, and it should be stiff like this. It's not moving at all, and it's beautifully glossy, fantastic. And we're ready now to put that on top of our pie. Don't worry about doing this. I know this might seem a bit kind of stressful, putting something on top of something that's not actually baked as such, but it's quite a stiff mixture that you've got in here now. It's not really moving anywhere, and I'm going to show you a way of actually doing it where there's no sort of worry. So take a spoon of meringue, and what we're going to do is blob it, that sounds funny, just around the edge first of all. So go around the edge of your pie and just gently drop blobs of meringue all the way around. Don't at this stage go right up to the edge, just all the way around, and you can see it just sits on there really nicely. It's not a problem at all. So now we've got sort of little blobs all the way around. What I'm going to do is I want to push the meringue so that it covers all of the lemon mixture and just sort of touches the biscuit around the edge. So just gently push it. We don't want to see any of that lemon mixture, and we just want the meringue to touch that biscuit base around the edge. We're nearly back at the beginning. So we've got all of the edges covered. We've made like a ring of meringue. And now just get another blob and pop it in the middle and just push it to meet all the other bits around the edge. And now we can just pile all the rest on the top. I like to make a big mountain in the middle. A meringue mountain, that'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? Let's make sure we get it all. And then just sort of distribute it around so we get a nice sort of even pile all in the middle. You can pipe this on if you want to, but I just don't find it necessary at all, and I actually prefer the more homemade look to the sort of perfect cake shop look. And now we're just going to make a few lovely swirls in the top, so just some little circles. So we get some nice swirls, just to make it pretty. Do whatever you want, really. So our pie's ready for the oven. I'm going to pop that into a preheated oven, 180 degrees C, for about 20 minutes, so it doesn't take long at all. And what we're looking for is that the meringue will look lovely and slightly sort of golden, and when you touch it on top, it'll be sort of feel a bit crispy. Do you know how meringue feels? So about 20 minutes at 180 degrees C. Okay, so our pie is out of the oven. Now, you can eat it two different ways. You can eat it just slightly warm. We actually prefer it cold. But if you are going to eat it warm, then you need to leave it in the tin. Don't do anything with it. Just leave it in the tin when you take it out of the oven for at least half an hour, between half an hour and an hour. And then you can eat it at that point and it'll be just warm, which is lovely. We actually like it cold, so what I would do is just let it go completely cold in the tin. I would then take it out of the tin, pop it in the fridge and chill it for a couple of hours. So obviously I'm not going to wait 3 hours to try it now. What I'm going to do is just leave it to cool for sort of about half an hour, an hour. We will then come back. I'll show you how to take it out of the tin and then we will cut it and have a slice. You of course won't have to wait to see that. It will happen in but just an instant. So this is just nice and cooled now. It's had about an hour cooling. So I'm just going to unclip this, and fingers crossed it should all come out no problem. There you go. Did you hear that drop? So just carefully lift it off. And look at that. Personally, I wouldn't try to take it off the metal base unless you really wanted to. I just cut it still on that metal base because it's just an added bit of security. I'm not going to try and move it too much. So we've got a beautiful slice of lemon meringue pie and it's time to try it. Are you excited? I'm excited. So here we go. It's absolute heaven. There's no other way of describing this. It's just gorgeous. It's sweet, but you know, you get that lemony sharpness a little bit. The meringue is just as light as air. It's just gorgeous. The base is perfect. It's a little bit crunchy still. It's just fantastic. And Bryony loves this as well. You know, I think children, because I don't know, lemon meringue pie, I'm not sure if that's something that kids would normally go mad for, but she really likes this as well. You know, she'll happily eat it. So I think it's a perfect family thing. Absolutely ideal for this time of year. Spring is almost here. Easter is almost upon us. This would make just the absolute perfect dessert for an Easter family gathering. Easy to make. You know, you could actually, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pop it in the fridge and I will leave it to chill for a few hours, and it cuts really, really, you know, I mean, that cut fine, but you will find that if you pop it in the fridge, it just cuts perfectly. And it's just as gorgeous cold as it is as sort of just warm like this now. So there we go, that's our delicious lemon meringue pie. So I will see you next time for more Pudding Club. It's absolute heaven.
Oh, lovely.
Do you want a slice?
Oh. And to think the filling is the same. Well, it's not the same filling. To me, I'm like fascinated that that ingredient became the filling for the Millionaire's shortbread.
The condensed milk, yeah. I mean, the condensed milk might be the only thing you've not got in your pantry.
What a mind-blowing ingredient.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant.
With, you know, a bit of tweaking. And throughout my life, to me, all condensed milk was ever good for was that. And now...
What, caramel? And
yes,
yeah,
you've suddenly opened up a whole new world. Because do you know what you would expect as well? You'd expect some sort of gloopy, caramelly feel to it, but it's not got that.
No, it's smooth and... Lemony and creamy and lovely. It's, you know, it's sweet, but then you do get that sharpness from that tang from the lemon. It's lovely.
And those are the types of meringues that are just my absolute favourite.
Oh, the meringue's perfect because it hasn't been baked for an awful long time. It's cooked, but it's only had that 20 minutes in the oven, so it's crisp on the outside, but then inside it's just like the fluffy. It's like eating a cloud. Imagine eating a sweet cloud. That's what it tastes like.
Well, we now have 2 delicious cakes in our series, and remember, just like we said in the show, there'll be 9 of these in total, and then you can vote for your winner. Now, last year you voted, as you found out, for sticky toffee pudding.
Oh, do you know, and I made that recently again. Fantastic.
Yes, I mean, it was just the most gorgeous thing.
Yeah, and it's brilliant just as a cake, just cold.
Yeah.
I just cut a slice off and eat it.
Yeah.
It's marvellous.
And I can't wait to see what's going to win this year, because Kate, you've been more researching this season than ever before.
I have.
And some of the things which are coming up, and some of the
oh yeah,
oh my goodness, it's just so exciting. So don't panic. Pudding Club will be back soon with more. And of course, you can catch up with past seasons of Pudding Club,
Yep.
find all the gold editions by just following the link in the show notes below. And that's also where you'll find that Cooking the World series that you referenced
Right,
before.
yeah.
It's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Oh, yes. Now, of course, the Mindful Cal is in full swing.
Mindful Cal continues until May Day, which is the 8th of May, I believe.
Yes. And I've been mindful. To be fair, I do.
You're always mindful,
That
Nick,
is,
to be fair.
yeah. I'll just shut
He
up.
does pretty much always mindful, Nick. Yeah.
That is my default position. It's what I love about knitting, you know. It's my safe place, and you know it has been now for so long. And I say to her every so often, I'll be on a project, I'll be knitting away, and I'll just get those lovely warm feelings that I get. And what do I say to you?
Thank you for teaching me to knit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true. I'm so grateful for it.
Okay.
But not only is the Mindful Cal ongoing, of course, as well, we have our Race to the Moon. And just to touch on that, please obviously do follow the guidance of your local health authorities with regards to if you should be, you know, heading outside for walks or not.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it's fate that we're so far ahead of the game.
What do you mean?
Well, we've had an amazing couple of months.
Oh, walking.
Yes,
Yeah,
walking and running. We're so far ahead of the game. Nobody panic. Let's just enjoy life. Do what we can do.
Yeah, we've still been walking and running. Yeah.
So just do what you can do. Follow your local advice, and if you can get out and get a bit of walk and get a bit of running done, then absolutely perfect. But don't panic if you can't, because like I said, we are well ahead of the game. The knitters, though, the patron knitters, are flying.
Yes, absolutely. We're doing brilliantly well.
I think that's and actually,
it's going to be even more now, isn't it? With extra time
Let's
on
go,
people's
people.
hands. Yes.
Who cares about the moon? Let's go to Mars. No, maybe not.
A bit far.
Yes, you've bought some things.
Just a couple of things.
That's all right.
I bought.
That's all right.
Dan wears. I've made him a couple of running hats. You might remember in the past, and there's one in particular that he wears not just for running. You wear it when you were just going out, and you say it's like the orange one.
Yeah.
And you just say it's really good. It's just a really good hat.
It's a good general hat.
And when I made him that hat, it's very bright colours, mainly orange. But I made it bright because I knew he'd be wearing it when he was running, and I just thought that might be good to have something bright on his head for for people to see him when he's running when it's a bit darker. But you've been wearing it normally, and I just think it's a bit bright for everyday wear. It's like, whoa, there's Dan. I can see his hat. So I thought, well, I'll get some yarn, the same yarn in a different colour.
It's good to stand out in a crowd, Kate.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I don't need a hat to stand out in a crowd.
No, you don't. So I thought I'll get the same yarn, but in just a different colour that's a bit more subdued, a bit more subtle, discreet, let's say.
And I'll wear that one for running.
And you wear that for running, which is what I designed. That's what I knit it you for. But I bought some Zauberball. It's Schoppelwoll Zauberball.
Not so crazy, that one.
Not so. Oh, I thought you meant you're not crazy about it.
No.
Oh, the colour.
Isn't it normally called Crazy Zauberball?
Yeah, but there's different. There's Zauberball and there's Crazy Zauberball.
Is Crazy Zauberball the ones with the crazy colours?
The crazy ones, I think, are more mild.
Okay.
The colours, you get like it's like barber poled a little bit, whereas this one is just sort of looks like three different colours. There's like a sort of almost black, a brown, a blue, 2 shades of blue, I think. So it's this one, but I just thought that'd be great for a hat. And the colour number is there, 1391. Who knows what that says, really. I'm not the best with German. But that's how it knits up.
Yes.
It's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's lovely. So that at some point, when I get the chance to cast it on, will be a hat for Dan.
Lovely.
And then, oh look, do you want to see the rest of my ducks?
Fun.
There's 3 more on here. There was 5, look. And that's the shop. So that's my little duckies. And then the last thing I purchased was a sock set from Biff Sugar Yarns. I saw this colour and I thought this would be perfect for a sock design. And it's called the Mountain Hare sock set.
Oh.
I know, and it just looks exactly like a mountain hare. So it's Biff Sugar Yarns.
I love rabbits and hares.
Mountain hare sock set. And look, if you know a mountain hare, not personally.
Yes. If you do.
You may know a mountain hare.
Maybe it comes into your garden.
I'm thinking everybody lives in a land like Beatrix Potter. Well, obviously right now.
There will be some people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I do think it's just like a mountain hare, isn't it lovely? And perfect for a sock design. So I'm going to keep that maybe towards more the winter time.
Lovely.
I just thought that was lovely.
Is that you all done?
Yes,
Cool.
that's me done.
The next patron-only live show will be on the 29th of March at 2 p.m. British summertime.
Yes, it's changing, isn't it?
So please check your local internet listings for specifically when that is. Don't even begin to talk to us about what happens, because I'll get so confused. But look, it's changing. The hour is changing. So please do check your local listings. But do remember that the recording is put out an hour after the show, so you don't need to be there live. But we have our swanky, amazing new software that means we can now start broadcasting live with a bit more pizzazz, a bit more style. And that's what we did in last month's show. But I wanted to give you a fair warning of when the next patron-only show is. It's then, and it will be an absolute cracker. And speaking of crackers, did you listen to our radio show, which actually only came out on Monday thanks to some truly awful weather last week?
Super windy again.
It was. I'm sick of it. Don't miss it, because we began to unpack the mystery of, is it tic-tac or tic-tacs? Along the way, we also go in search of a bandstand, and we talk a bit of history. We talk about what did the Romans do for us?
Yeah.
That famous scene from Monty Python's Life of Brian. Oh yes, the radio show will be back next week, and of course we will have all our usual things happening every Tuesday and every Thursday for our Bakery Bed patrons. And the Knitting University actually is gearing up for
it's coming
some
very
true
soon.
excitement. Oh yes, been filming lots of really in-depth.
Yes.
These are the most in-depth, detailed tutorials. They're lectures that we've ever produced.
About that.
Seriously, I needed a line. I'm not joking. It's the hardest edit I've ever had to do. There was so much content. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm learning so much.
Hope so.
Yes.
Hope so.
So yes, all that to look forward to. And we will, of course, see you in 2 weeks for episode 147 of the Bakery Bears video show. We can't wait to see you then. So stay well, everybody.
Stay safe, stay well.
Keep washing those hands.
Yep.
Keep knitting.
Yes, absolutely.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you soon.
Bye.
Who's it sitting and knitting? It's Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's in